Google fixed its pixels this year and they are really good. What are the reasons to go with the Pixel 9 over the hot new 9a? Or are there actually more reasons to go with the cheaper Pixel? This goes down as my absolute favourite generation of Tensor Pixels, so we have to talk about these phones because they are fantastic. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas and I quite like the Pixel 9 series this year. The 9a is clearly a cut down model with the essentials. The Pixel 9 is a step up in quality, particularly in hardware. The Pixel 9 Pro adds to that with more cameras and a better ultra wide, and the Pixel 9 Pro XL is just a bigger version of this for phablet fans. And then of course you have to top it all off with the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, because it's the foldable Pixel. It all feels well laid out. There seems to be cohesion. There seems to be a Pixel for everyone. Last year, the Pixel 8 made the 8a a harder buy because the pricing was just so close, and the Pixel 8 felt so much better in the hand with significantly better cameras, so it really muddied the waters. But this year, the $499 Pixel 9a is clearly good, but it's a cut down model, and the $799 Pixel 9 feels like a more upmarket unit. These two are not really stepping on each other's toes, and that's important this year. Whether Google did this on purpose for this reason or not, it has basically separated the two camera systems. The 9a sensor is far smaller this year, even compared to last year's 8a, and the ultra-wide sensor has remained tiny as well. Whereas the Pixel 9's main sensor is way bigger, same size as the 9 Pro, and the same goes for the ultra-wide, which is of a much higher quality too. To put it as succinctly as I possibly can, the Pixel 9 is just a bit better at everything. It captures a bit more dynamic range, reproduces colour a bit more accurately, the shots have a bit more detail, a bit more sharpness, and the camera is just a bit better. The video is a bit better. The stills, all on the sensors and all the lenses, it's all just a bit better. You get what I'm saying. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on these comparisons and samples in the comments, by the way, because a lot of what makes good photos can be subjective. I like a more filmic look, but you might want a more clinical one. And though I'm confident in saying the Pixel 9's camera is a step up in quality, I'd also add that it's not by a crazy margin. Being the two cameras on the back and the single up front, the pricier phone doesn't offer any additional functionality in this kind of sense, like you get with the Pixel 9 Pro's 5x optical zoom on the back of it. It's just that what these both do, the 9a does slightly worse across the board, which makes total sense given the price points. There's no action pan, blur mode or cinematic mode on the cheaper 9a, so if you want those features, you are going to have to cough up for the Pixel 9, though Add Me is here, which is great to see, along with Top Shot and the full suite of Magic Editor, Audio Eraser, that kind of thing. And we've become so used to having those in the Pixels, I'm glad that it's on the cheapest model too. I wouldn't call the omission of some of these modes a particular deal breaker for me personally, especially considering the price delta, but that's a personal preference thing. By the way guys, we're really trying to hit 500,000 subs, so if you wouldn't mind hitting subscribe, that really means a lot to us all here at AP. Thank you very much. Interestingly, the performance specs are set individually too across the Pixel 9 series. So the 9a has 8 gigs of RAM, the 9 has 12 gigs, and then the 9 Pro has 16 gigs, but all have near enough identical performance from the same Tensor G4 system on chip. So playing games, flicking through applications, doom scrolling, and using the phone in a normal way without AI, you're going to be hard pressed to tell the difference between the 9a and the 9 Pro XL in this regard. For someone like me, I don't use AI at all. It means that I can have the performance of the 4-figure 9 Pro XL in a $500 Pixel, which is really cool if you ask me. Where you'll notice this most though, this RAM delta, is in AI applications, and actually there is some Google AI stuff here in the Pixel 9 that's not in the brand new 9a, like the Weather AI overview, Pixel screenshots, call notes, and it runs a cut down version of Gemini called Nano XXS. Reportedly this can only take text input and doesn't run in the background unlike other models that use higher end versions of Gemini. Stuff like the Pixel 9 itself or the 9 Pro XL using the bigger versions. So though you still get Magic Editor, Add Me and Pixel Studio, which I know is a big hitter, you don't get the full fat Pixel AI experience on the 9a, once again differentiating the Pixel models in the lineup. One gripe I still have with these Pixels is the older UFS 3.1 storage here, and I wasn't expecting it to be upgraded in the 9A, to be totally honest. This is one of those things that I can actually notice when I go back and forth between other phones and Pixel 9 series devices. You know, stuff with Snapdragon chips just feels that much zippier, and if what you're after is out and out performance, you were probably never going to buy a Pixel in the first place. But I think for most people, and I really do mean most, there is enough grunt here to keep you going for a good couple of years. Interestingly, Google has opted to almost match the display tech between these two, which is really interesting given the price delta. The main difference really being that the 9A's panel is reportedly 60 to 120Hz adaptive instead of 1 to 120Hz adaptive on the full fat 9. So maybe that'll impact battery life, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Otherwise, sharpness, size, brightness, they're all pretty much identical between these phones, which is great for a few reasons. One, the Pixel 8a's panel last year was really quite poor with awful off-axis color shifting, and that has been fixed. And two, the Pixel 9's panel is so good that having it in the cheaper phone is just, well, it's fantastic. It's more so what's next to or around or under the displays that really sets these screens apart. The ultrasonic fingerprint reader in the pricier Pixel is just far more accurate and a lot quicker to boot. This is a night and day difference, and if like me you kind of get a little annoyed when the fingerprint scanners don't activate properly, the 9A's one isn't bad, but it's just light years away from the Pixel 9, and that is one of the reasons I might make that step up. And the bezels, well, we really can't avoid those chonkers now, can we? Look at them. It's part of what sets these two models apart once again, and previous A models have had chunky bezels, but it just seems that with these two and their flat sides, it just exemplifies how fat these bezels are. They make the 9A feel cheaper than the 9. Combine that with the plastic back instead of the glass one of the 9, and the phone doesn't feel as special, indicative once again of its price. And I really do like the almost totally flush camera on the back of the 9A. I always catch that camera bar on my jean pockets when I'm using any kind of Pixel 9 series device. And it's interesting, I wonder if they'll use this approach to make the Pixel 10. Will they make that flush as well? Or will they keep them separated, because then you can clearly tell the difference between the cheaper and the higher end models? I think that's where Samsung goes wrong with its cheaper A series devices looking exactly like the Galaxy S Ultra, unless you have a very trained eye. The additional space in the 9A is filled with battery, and I like that decision. The 9A has a battery about 10% larger than that in the Pixel 9 in pure capacity, and it translates to slightly better battery life. Now, it's not a night and day difference that you might see being paraded online, because these are, again, still using the same processors. I'd say it's noticeable and gives you just that bit more confidence to hammer your phone throughout the day. Both of these are all-day phones for me, absolutely no dramas, but the 9A is just a bit better on a charge, and though the top-up times sort of balance this out, because where the cable charging is a smidge higher on the Pixel 9 in terms of just raw wattage, the wireless charging is double the wattage, so a significant step up as long as you use Google's own Pixel stand. So battery and charging, it's sort of a toss-up between the two. Google has done a fantastic job of properly spacing out and differentiating its Pixel product lineup this year, and the 9A and the 9 both have their places in the smartphone market, as long as you're not after the absolute pinnacle of performance or value for money, let's be honest. Honestly, I think for most people, you're going to be more than happy with the Pixel 9a for $300 less. The Pixel 9 is well worth the step up if you use your camera a lot and you want the more seamless unlock experience. And I have to reiterate, that Pixel 9's in-display fingerprint scanner is just leagues better. In fact, there are some great deals to be had on the Pixel 9 right now. I've seen it on Best Buy starting at $650, which is still comfortably more expensive than the 9A, but offers you just a little bit more if you have that little bit more cash to splash. The Pixel 9a is a great return to form for Google, and it has to be my pick over the Pixel 9 for this comparison, given both at MSRP and the features that come with it. But the latter is a worthy upgrade if you're looking for something just that bit more. Guys, this comparison, above all others that I've done this year, requires your opinions and feedback. Are you a Google Pixel fan at all? Have you been there since the start like me with the first generation? And do you agree that Google finally has its ducks in a row where each model actually makes sense? My final question, have you taken advantage of the discounts on Pixels that we've seen in the last few months, or even years to be honest, with the previous versions? I spoke about that in a recent video and it kind of makes a lot more sense. Whilst you're in the comments, be sure to hit like if you enjoyed today's content, and please do hit subscribe to help us hit 500,000. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas and I will catch you later. Cheers.